order the regular meeting of the June Finance Committee meeting. Welcome everybody here. Unlike the previous special meetings we have, which have dealt exclusively with the budget, we're going to spend a lot of time today going over our normal business for the month. And we are starting a half hour early. I thank everybody for being here because we do have a very, very long, potentially long agenda. I have asked council members if they would like anything pulled from consent, and I do want to read what I've been given so far, then we'll see if there's any others. Ms. Adams has asked for C3, 4, 9, 13, 19, 25, and 27. Mr. McIntosh has asked for 23. Ms. Burke, do you have any?
G1, please.
C1?
G.
G1. All right. We'll get G1. I will tell you, I did get a call from...
Oh, you're talking about consent. I'll get to the general after a while. Okay.
All right, Mr. Larson.
22.
C22. I just hung up with Mr. Taylor driving in. He would like for us to hold C1 in committee. He's working with some neighborhood things on that. Mr. Luke, are you here for that? I got a call from Mr. Taylor, and I told him I would hold it in committee for a month. So if you want to know what's going on, you'll need to call him. He just said they were working it. Okay, thank you. Any others? If not, I'll get a motion to approve what's left.
Move for approval. Second.
All in favor? Please vote at some point. Okay, everybody will vote on the ballots. I'd appreciate it. Busted. And those items are approved. I'm going to do these in numerical order. That's okay with everybody. So I will start with C3.
Item C3, resolution.
She can go ahead and call it, but like I said, I just have a question afterward. It doesn't really require a presentation.
That's fine. We'll let her read it first.
All right.
Item C3, resolution approving the allocation of additional revitalizing urban commercial areas. 3, funds for the Patterson-Glen area located in the Northeast Ward.
Ms. Adams.
Yes, Ms. Evans, the only thing I'm interested in is, again, we've talked about this in the past. You know, I didn't see a picture. Did I miss something?
A picture, well, first of all, good afternoon.
You're welcome.
Part members of the committee.
Good afternoon.
I do believe this was a previous project. We're just
Correct.
allocating additional funding for it. I think when this item was originally presented, we did bring a picture to you to see. We just didn't include it in this.
Could I have that included for Monday, please?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Ms. Burke.
Mr. Chairman, this morning in communication with the city manager concerning this project, and he was supposed to be giving some directions to Mr. Evans concerning this matter. I also may ask the question, are we using many of our funds in the area that we should be using? And also when people are going to do a job, we need to have a due date when they're going to start and when they're going to complete it, and also have some community also awareness. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any other questions on C3? And we will have those items included in when it goes to general committee, full board. Can I get a motion on C3, please?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, if you please touch your screens accordingly.
I second.
Satellite's moving slow today.
Okay, it's coming up. If everybody please vote, please.
But clock seemed like he's second it too.
I got that override button. Okay, that is approved. We will now go to C4, please. Secretary, read it.
Item C4, resolution approving the fiscal year 19 Housing and Community Development Program and authorizing submission of the 2019-2023 Consolidated Housing and Community Development Plan to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Ms. Adams, this one's yours.
Yes, I appreciate this report, this resolution. and all the details that's in it. But I also want us to think about, and Mr. Garrity, moving forward, how do we employ at least 500 youth during the summer versus the number always hanging around that 100 or something? Out of all the community development block grant we get and all of this extra money we're getting, I know we want to help everybody else, and I know, you know, these other nonprofits deserve some help, but the taxpayers deserve their children to have an opportunity to seek an employment. When I was growing up, I worked for the Neighborhood Youth Corps 2 or 3 of my summers as a young person, and I know the value that it was to me. So I want us to start looking at how do we get more youth involved? What grants can we apply to as well as what we have now? And I'd like for us to set that goal for next year. And I'd like to also, as you've heard me say before, I see we have 125 in the budget this year. And I saw that the question was asked, how do we get 10 more? I'd like us to look at how do we get 25 more and take that number to 150. It's going to be a very hot summer. We want to, you know, make sure we connect these young people to the city, to other businesses and nonprofits that we support since we're partners, so that they'll have something, you know, that they can do this summer that's productive. I'd appreciate it if you work on that for me. Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on C4. If you will please vote appropriately. That is approved. Thank you. We will now go to C9.
Item C9, resolution awarding contract for financial advisory services for the city of Winston-Salem, North Carolina to Y River Group Incorporated.
Ms. Evans.
I like the fact that all of the parties are moving to align their businesses to the actual operations. That includes these staff positions and measurable metrics, to track and document whether our investment has really made a difference in enhancing the profit and the usage of these facilities. I'd like for us, and I hope going forward, Mr. Gary and Ms. Saunders, that we can see that pretty soon, like in the first quarter of the next fiscal year, going into it, because there are a lot of moving parts now to this. And I also noticed that we're doing something finally with our walk over from the parking deck to the convention center. So again, that's what I'm interested in. I'd like to see as quickly as possible what metrics we've come up with that we're going to be able to measure the investment and the return on it with these partners that we got. They've realigned staff and other positions to go along with the operations of the hotel and the convention center. At least that's what your report said. So I'm looking for, not now, but I'm looking for within the first quarter, after the first quarter of the fiscal year, we need a report to come back to see whether this is really working or not.
Councilor Adams, you're referring to C10, right? The one on the Benton Qualified Management Agreement?
I'm looking at C9, amending the Benton Qualified Management Agreement.
C9 is,
The added one, right?
Oh, yeah.
They amended the thing.
Yeah.
We had an additional item.
Yeah, we had an additional item, yeah.
They didn't refresh it.
Bump 9, 10.
hang on a minute, we have a computer problem.
I did do that.
Houston, we have a problem.
I rebooted it and everything since I've been sitting here. I know.
Refresh it down.
I'm asking too many questions today, but that's good.
But we heard your request, and we'll
Okay.
provide your report, won't we,
All
Mr.
right,
Rao?
we can move for approval.
Okay, C9, just for record,
I got
is
it.
the contract for financial advisory service with Y
River Group.
Does anyone have any questions on that, since that's what we were talking about? If not, can I get a motion on the
Motion approved.
C9 on Y advisory service? Okay, if everybody's voting that, and then we'll go to C10. Okay. We will now go to C10, please.
Move for approval.
We have a motion. Do we have a second on C10?
Second.
Okay, we're now going to vote on C10, which is an amended resolution for the Benton Convention Center Management Agreement. And I appreciate Ms. Adams' comments. I think it would be nice to get an update. That's an important building in town, and we just spend a lot of money updating.
Good.
Okay. Did we vote on that?
We did.
Did I vote on that?
Item C11,
Okay, we're on C11.
consideration of amendments.
No, C11's,
We all messed up now.
C13 is one.
My
that I-
numbers are messed up.
Okay, do you want,
C14,
okay, how about C13?
move for approval.
That's the change order of bar construction on
Yeah.
Haynes Park.
Yeah.
C13, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. C13, C13.
Because when I was looking for mine, it didn't update to the amended agenda,
It's okay,
so all my numbers are now different.
we're gonna manage.
Okay.
I'm off one, too.
He is too.
Could you take a look at this computer? Right now, we're gonna vote on C13, which is with bar construction to amend the Haynes Park renovation. I think they're putting in a retaining
Hit the
wall.
motion. Button again.
I think that's right, Mr. McIntosh, and then a
Oh,
retaining wall
yes.
we're having to add or something.
Yeah.
Okay, if everybody please vote on that.
So now it's C14.
So now we're gonna do C14, which was, if we'll read that one, please.
Item C14, resolution authorizing a change order to New Atlantic Contracting Incorporated in the amount of $383,085 for Union Station restoration and renovation, Phase 2, located in the East Ward.
The resolution states that the transformer was not the right size, it was oversized, and we couldn't put it in the front where it was originally supposed to be. And now they're gonna put it in the back. But you know my question. Who was responsible for ordering the oversized transformer? I mean, why couldn't it have been returned if we got a correct size? Was it ordered based on the specifications we gave? And if it did, still, who's responsible for the mix-up?
Good afternoon, members of the council.
Good afternoon.
Duke Power actually sizes the transformer for us once they get out on the job site and the job is under construction. So they don't let us know until we are already under construction what size transformer is going in. And the transformer that they sized for us was much larger than expected, and we were going to have to build a screen wall around it in front of the building.
But does that mean, Mr. Garrity, that we gotta pay for, there's a cost, right?
There's a cost for the change of bringing the power into the building. There's not a cost in changing or in the transformer itself. Duke Power supplies the transformer.
It's Duke's transformer.
That's correct.
We just gotta run different wires.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay, well, was there a cost difference in this? Isn't this what this is, a change order?
There is a cost difference because we're having to bring power in from the back of the building, which is a longer run than where we were bringing it in at the front of the building.
And I can understand that, but all I'm asking is if they made the mistake or whoever made the mistake, are we paying for that mistake? I mean, I know we would have had to pay anyway, Councilmember Clark. I think, I don't know, but
I'm gonna let him answer that. I've never bought a transformer.
But I'm just asking, I'm asking, is there any cost difference? And if we had put this thing in the front or the back, and I don't understand why we're doing a change order, maybe it's because this wasn't in the original, build out.
That's correct. If we had known when we had bid the project that the transformer needed to go in the back of the building, these costs that you're seeing now would have been included in that original bid.
Okay, Mr.
Could the transformer still go in the front? Is this an aesthetic decision, or is it a?
It's very much an aesthetic decision
So
because
So we've decided that in order to properly present this building, we're going to take this larger transformer, which is dominate the appearance of the building.
Right, exactly.
We're going to shove it in the back, but technically, we could still put it in the front.
And that's Duke's position, so that they won't pay for the difference.
Right, and then, so they're not paying us to relocate it to
Right.
improve the appearance of the building.
How big is the transformer? Approximately.
approximately,
Size of a Volkswagen?
That's a little smaller.
It would be very noticeable.
It would be very noticeable.
I would think how much we spent on this building, it would be appropriate to put it in the back or on top or in the basement or something.
Well, I'm okay with it if you guys are, the council is wanting to spend $383,000, you know. I'm gonna go ahead and make the motion because again, have invested a lot of money, but it goes back to what I've always said. Every time we do something, somebody needs to be checking this stuff. I mean, all of these projects we got going on, and we're getting ready to finish up on the 14 bond projects, and we've had some glitches. I'm thinking going forward that if we pass this bond in November, we need to be a little bit better. We need to run a tighter ship. Somebody needs to be, because also Mr. Garrett or Ms. Saunders or Mr. Rao, could we get a report of how many change orders or things that we had to pay for over what we had expected to pay for when we started doing this bond in 14, and give us the explanation as to what happened that we had to put more money in, okay?
Mr. President, I believe there's more than just the transformer. The big expense is the security gate.
That's correct. There was a concern, now that we are going to have a tenant in the building, that they were going to have difficulties with the parking in the back. So these security gates are to control the parking, and so that only the users of the building are going to be able to access the parking lot.
Yeah, Mr. Burke, your comment.
Yeah, I had comments with the city manager about looking at things that we pay tax dollars and that we're not doing the best job because it's taxpayers' dollars. I think we need to be more serious about it. I was in conversation with him about something today, the same kind of thing. And I think that when you have employees who, because if you're working for a company, they fire every last one of you when you mess up that kind of money. And I think you should be more into how they do their work, who's looking at the quality, and give you a report, because those are my tax dollars and a lot of other people's tax dollars, and these tax dollars are dollars that people are making sacrifices in order to meet the needs of the city with the economy like it is. So I agree with the councilwoman, but I've been speaking about that quite sometimes. Any company that you work for, if you do the kind of work that you allow some of your employees to do, they fire them on the spot, not think one thing about it. And I think that is very important. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Larson, then
Mr. Chairman, is this project under budget? Are we on budget for this project?
We're significantly under budget.
Under budget, that's my understanding. So we've made some savings somewhere along the line, obviously, from what we projected this was going to
That's
cost.
correct.
Okay, Mr. McIntosh.
Well, $104,000 is not nothing. Throughout this project, I think everybody was aware that this is a National Register building, and we have spent a significant amount of money to meet National Register standards. And to just plop a big old transformer in front of it, to me, would be going against all that extra money we spent to make this building, bring this building back to its original character. So, and it's a lot of money, but I think it's well spent.
Okay. We're
But I'd like
currently
to
on.
ask
Yes,
a
ma'am.
question.
Excuse me.
When you got to that point, whoever looked at the plan that would be on the front, then somebody should have been making a suggestion with this historical building, let's take it to the back.
Yeah, we should have had it planned back there.
Mhm.
Okay, can I get a motion on C14, Union Station? We had a motion and a second.
I'll go in a second.
So we got it. Here we go. Everybody, please vote. All right, that is approved. And it turns out we pulled C19. But
Move for approval.
C20 is what we actually wanted. So can I get a motion on C19? please?
Move for approval on C19.
And these are various these are yearly contracts, I believe, Mr. Bates, aren't they? These are yearly contracts for various auto parts. Just let everybody know what C19 is. And I will say, as just a general comment, this time of year we get a lot of stuff coming through committee that we sign a contract for the next 12 months, and it's gravel, and it's cement pipe, and it's auto parts and tires and all sorts of things that will come through in the next month or so.
That is correct. I believe in front of you on this agenda, there's think, 5 or 6 different items
Yeah.
that total about 125 different businesses.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, C19, do I have a motion to approve? And a second. Hit it again. Everybody please vote on that. Okay, we will now do C20, which is one we want pulled. If the secretary please read C20.
Item C20, resolution awarding purchase orders for sole source vendors.
All I wanted was a more detailed list of what these companies do and what parts or services they're providing. I see the list that you provided, but like JetVac, whatever, or the John Deere parts, I mean, I think we need a little bit, I need a little bit more detail than this, than what they got on here now. Like, some of these things to me, I mean, it's basically parts, I got that, I understand it's auto, and it's other things, but at least give me an ideal example of what it is I'm paying for, because if we're giving John Deere $175,000, what am I buying from John Deere? I know they got lawnmowers, I know they got tractors, but they got other stuff too. They got batteries. So I'd just like to get more details in the details section, that's all.
Certainly, I'll be happy to provide that for you.
Okay,
Move
thank
for
you.
approval.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Somebody second, okay. This is C20 we're voting on. Everybody please vote. Okay. I have written down C22 and C23. Mr. McIntosh, I think you were C23.
23, right?
Who wanted C22? Is
I
that?
think that was me, C23.
Okay, let's do,
C23 is what I'm asking for. the
okay, let me just get a
payment.
motion on C22 because that was full. So
Move for approval.
and this has to do with a metal building out at the fairgrounds. Everybody please vote on C22. That is approved. Now we will go to C23. If the secretary please read that one.
Item C23, resolution awarding construction contract for bike lane striping and signage project citywide to IWC Seal Coating Incorporated in the amount of $204,316.99.
Okay, both Mr. McIntosh and Mr. Larson have comments. Mr. McIntosh, let's go first.
I'd like to just get some follow-up and get some more detail about where these are being done.
Okay,
A lot of interest from my constituents about where they're being done.
okay. Does that be possible, Mr.?
We'll take care of it.
Okay, Mr. Larson?
So my question was, this is for bicycle striping only, not for yellow line striping or any other street painting that we're doing? Or
Correct.
is this all street painting?
Bicycle lanes only.
Why have we separated that? Are we not capable of painting white stripes on streets? Who paints the yellow stripes on streets?
City does do that internally. This would be for roads where we don't have the equipment set up properly to come in and do the the separation between the bicycle lane and the regular travel lanes, and then putting in the diamond or share the road markings on those lanes.
Okay, so it's a matter of not having the spacing between the curb line and the yellow
Just-
white line? Is that-
It's more a matter of staff resources.
We don't have the staff resources to paint these lines on our city streets.
Correct.
Okay, Ms. Adams has a comment.
Yes, again, I'd like to see us, a contractor, even us, do a better job of painting. I was walking this morning up by Wake Forest, and the pedestrian paint stripes and others, I looked down, and to tell you the truth, I was embarrassed. They have done some fresh painting, and it's messy, Mr. Garrity, Mr. Turner, it really is. And that goes for the whole community. I know that I've visited other cities and seen them doing the painting, and their painting don't look like ours. Ours has a lot to be desired, and I think we can be better on that. And I'd like us to figure out how we can be, because I'm not happy with the appearance of it.
You're talking about the yellow striping?
I'm talking about striping, period, any painting,
Anything.
any
Is it the
painting,
yellow or white?
any of it.
Yes, ma'am.
We reviewed that a couple of years ago, and I feel the city manager needs to explain how that state their attitude. What control do we have when the state's doing theirs? Please.
Mayor Pro Tem Burke, if it's a state road, we have virtually no control over that, right, Mr. Turner? We can make requests, but So on a lot of the state roads, Martin Luther King, New Walkertown, there are a lot of those where we have very limited persuasion is all we have for those. The roads that are city roads are the ones that are our responsibility, but we'll take a look at all of them. I'm sure we can tighten that up a bit.
And I would like to say we're being unfair to senior citizens because when they ride at night when it's raining, those markers are not clear enough for them to see, for us to see.
Well, I have a hard time. When it's raining at night, it's very hard to see anything. Okay. Can I get a motion on the contract for the bike lane?
Move.
Second. Hang on a minute. Okay, if everybody please vote. All right. Next we have full. Yes, sir.
If this comes up to us on Monday, I would like a little more clarification as to where these stripings are going to go and the cost of installing all of that. I feel a little uncomfortable about why we can't do it, and particularly when we don't know where it's going or how much we're actually getting done.
Okay.
And so I need a little more clarity about the scope of the work that we're contracting and where it's impacting us.
Okay. All right. C-25, we actually wanted C-26, so if I get a motion on C-25.
Move for approval.
Second.
So do we have a motion and a second on C-25? I just moved it.
I'll second.
Okay, there we go.
Well,
Now,
why they
everybody-
keep dumping their names in it? Is this in the northeast of them south?
Got
I
it.
have no idea.
Okay, C-25 is approved. Now we will go to C-26, please. Secretary, please read this one. This is about golf carts.
Item C-26, resolution awarding purchase order for golf carts to EasyGo, division of Textron Incorporated, in the amount of $199,516.
Mr. Adams, this is your item?
Yeah, I was wanting to know how often do we replace the golf carts and when and has Reynolds Parks been replaced? And what's the real benefit of the GPS and what do we expect to gain versus what we've done in the past? I mean, if the cart's out on the golf course, and I've seen it, William, you have too, others, it's not like people, the rangers or the people that's working don't see them. So what is the purpose of the added GPS, which is going to cost us about what, 40-something thousand? What is it that they said they were going to charge us for that?
Chair, members of the committee, I believe
$47,616.
yes, the purpose for the adding the GPS on the golf carts is it's becoming more of an industry standard for golf courses who are trying to better maintain their fleet of golf carts to ensure that 90-degree rules are maintained and that the golf carts are going on places on the golf course that they're allowed to go. What we found is that golf carts, we've routinely had to pull golf carts out of areas from the golf course where they shouldn't have been in the first place. They end up doing damage to the golf course that puts an additional strain on maintenance staff. And we feel that adding the GPS functionality to the golf course will allow our golf pro better flexibility in terms of being able to maintain and manage the golf course.
So we replace every 5 years roughly, or what? Because the last time we did theirs was in 13, right?
Yes, every 5 years.
When is Reynolds Park coming up? Have we done theirs recently?
I'll have to get back to you in terms of the last time when Reynolds Park golf carts were replaced.
But I'd like for you to get with EasyGo. What's the benefit of the GPS, and what do we expect to gain versus what we got done in the past, which is, $47,000. I'm like, I never had the GPS, and now I'm gonna pay $47,000. Somebody needs to just give me a report of what we're gonna get for
We
our
can
money.
include that in the packet.
Move for approval.
Yes, I'll get that information. Thank you.
This is, we're on number C-26, Dan. We have two more to go. Okay, hang on a minute. Everybody, please vote on C-26. And Dan, be sure C-26 is golf carts because there was an update and not everyone was correct.
Don't have the update.
Dan, sir, you can check this.
I wasn't alone.
Well, so far, 1 out of 4 had it, so.
Well, that was C-25, right?
Yeah. Okay, we're now going to do C-27, which we actually wanted C-28, so if I could get a
Move
motion
for
on
approval.
C-27, which is constructions for Miller Street sidewalks. Get a motion in a second.
I did.
I'm still showing motion.
Motion. Hang on. Okay, everybody please vote on C-27. All right, that's approved. We'll now go to C-28. If the secretary please read that one, please.
Item C-28, resolution awarding contract for grants consulting services to the Olson Group Limited.
Okay, Ms. Adams, I believe this is yours.
Yeah, this contract is being awarded based on, I guess, the grant we got from FEMA and Homeland Security, the $1.87 million. And I see the Olson Group, they scored lower points for what I think would be critical areas in the matrix that they gave us, such as relevant experience and some other areas that I just, and then you had the other group company, is it EIM or EMI, which one is it? IEM exceeded Olson in most of the areas except for the cost. And, were there any discussions with that group to see if they would decrease their costs, since they were the ones that everybody wanted? And I know this is the bid thing and we do that, but in my mind, you can't put a price on safety. And I just wanted to get a report about the proposal as to what, besides those points that we give out, and who all were the deciding people. I know it's staff, but did we bring in any of the other partners that went to Emmitsburg with us that are over some of these agencies and partners that helped us to get this money, versus just us deciding who gets to get the contract to do the grant stuff for that $1.87 million that we got?
And I'll sort of start, and Mr. Robert Reese is here. Good afternoon, Council, committee members. Councilmember Adams, the group that is being recommended had a submitted bid of approximately $125,000. I seem to recall. By comparison, the grant, as you noted, was $1.87 million, and the Olson Group's proposal was $1.6 million, I believe. So basically, they were taking the entire grant, which left no money for the actual implementation of the services. All we were looking for.
I think you said $1.6 million was not Olson, it was the other group.
Okay, I have them back.
So IM did $1.6 million.
Correct.
The Olson Group was $175,000.
Correct.
Okay.
And basically, they would have taken the entire grant for the administration of the grant, as opposed to having the money available for the training that was needed. So because their grant was so out of line, plus they provided services that weren't being requested, the group that evaluated the proposals felt that, in fact, the group that the companies have been awarded to does, in fact, have extensive emergency management experience. Thus, they recommended, everybody felt comfortable enough that because of the emergency management experience of that group, they'd be able to do it with the budgeted amount that was sort of allocated for the administration of the grant.
Can I get a report with the cost of what they were saying with each group, each
Sure.
one of these companies? And again, I'd like to see what we're anticipating in doing with that money. Like I said, and maybe it's the people that we're getting ready to contract to tell us what to go do, but I'm hoping again, and I've asked this, there were 50-something other organizations in this county represented in Emmitsburg, and I expect us to bring them together and bring them up to speed as to what we've done and what we're trying to do, because part of the deal that we got the money was that they are partners with us in this. So I'd like us to make sure that, and I, of course, because I was a participant, I'd like to be at that meeting as well. Okay?
Yeah.
I move for approval.
Okay. Let me get a second on that. And I do, like Ms. Adams' idea, it'd be nice to get what all the folks quoted. I can't believe someone would quote their fee as the whole amount.
This is crazy.
Anyway, all right. Can we get a motion? We do have that. Okay. Everybody please vote.
And I'd also like some timelines, a timeline schedule as to where we are with this grant and when we're going to start implementing.
All righty. So that finishes the consent items. We have 4 general items, and we will just start with G1. If the secretary please read that one.
Item G1, consideration of items related to economic development assistance to Whitaker Park Development Authority, Incorporated.
Mr. Page, why don't you introduce this one to us?
Okay, good afternoon again. This item is being discussed today at Finance Committee, but would not come to council until the August the 6th meeting, because we need to advertise it for the August 6th meeting after today's meeting.
Are we going to have July meetings? We're not.
No.
So
Correct.
it's really only a.
You can come show up if you like.
Okay. Please continue.
Okay.
I just want everybody to know that.
So this item provides $1.25 million as part of the critical infrastructure needs to the Whitaker Park development, and basically what this money would be used for. The total cost is $4 million to extend across the Whitaker Park development the road that would be sort of a main road. I think you have a map in your package, but a main road across connecting Akron Drive and Shorefair Drive to provide access to both for a transportation standpoint as well as a development standpoint. Happy to answer any questions. You did approve an item last month that allowed us to request the state also provide funding to this project. We'll be using general obligation bonds as part of it.
Can we get this map on the screen? Is there a way to do that? There's actually 2 roads marked in green. I just want to there you go. You do the old-fashioned way. That's okay with me. Okay, will you please point out what roads we're talking about here? And you got it upside down. There you go.
There you go.
So it'll be this road, basically connecting here at Shorefair Drive, coming around, and this Akron Drive coming in.
How about the other one, the little cul-de-sac there going up?
That will not be part of this project.
That'd be another project?
Yeah.
Okay. All righty. Mr. Adams, you had a comment?
Yes.
Ms. Burke?
Just so everyone would understand, even though the Whitaker Park Development Authority was gifted this again, and I'm on the board, thank the city and the county and the state for wanting to invest in this project. When this project, this facility was built, the way it was built that way for a reason, because of the employees and the way the traffic was, and 52 and all of that, and University Parkway. But in order to make this project, much like Union Cross, how we've had to invest in the roads and whatever to get in, we could not have gotten to this end of the project, the campus, without this road coming off of 52 to Akron Drive and coming into Whitaker Park, and then being able to come in off of Shorefair or Reynolds Boulevard. So this was much needed if we're expecting, again, to be able to sell this to would-be clients or investors to come to the campus. It had to be done. Ms. Burke?
Yeah, I talked with the city manager this morning, and I said to him, we don't need to hold any money we have. If we can go in for economic development like you're doing there, we need to do everything we possibly can throughout the city. And he's going to be reviewing that. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Let me just say amen to what Councilmember Burke said, but this project, obviously, as Councilmember Adams mentioned, benefits Whitaker Park hugely. But if you think about it, as it goes across that railroad, Akron Drive, it ties right into Smith-Jones Airport.
Correct.
Yes.
Which is a huge asset for us that we're not taking full advantage of. And there's a study that has been done that we'll be talking about soon, Councilman Burke's on that group, about how to maybe create a little more of an aerotropolis kind of concept around Whitaker Park, the airport, and so having Whitaker Park tied right into it will certainly help that as well.
Okay. Mr. McIntyre?
I just had a question about whether the railroad was on board with this.
Yeah.
We always know how
Already
difficult they
done.
are to deal with. So
We've got a grade
Good.
crossing. We thought originally we were going to have to build
A bridge.
a bridge or something over it, but
Bridge.
we agreed to
Great.
that grade.
Right.
Mr. Larkin?
Is this section called Akron Drive or Shortfield Drive? What are we naming this part of the road?
Larson.
Larson Boulevard?
Whatever it takes to get it approved.
Whoever donates the money.
Akron, sure.
That's a good question. I'll leave that up to,
And when it
someone smarter
comes,
than me.
because it'll come in, we'll have a name change at that intersection. Somebody just needs to think about that. But I love the idea of coming down basically 52, hitting Akron Drive, and then being able to access this very directly. So Akron is clearly a strong indicator for that connector.
And just so everybody knows, you've heard us talk about this when we did our strategic planning, I guess, 5, 6 years ago? And when we did the bonds and all of this, in the strategy or the strategic mission of the city, economic development was it was number one. Because if you can't grow the jobs, and we did this right when the recession had hit, if you can't grow jobs and come up with other ways to get people to come and invest in your community, but you've got to have the properties and the facilities ready to go turnkey. And this campus still has the potential over the years, and our city's growing, we saw it in the paper, to have at least 10,000 jobs associated with it. So this is our next big what if, besides Innovation Quarter and what we've got down there. This is the second piece of it right here on the north end of town.
Quick question. Since we're putting new roads in, is there also water and sewer lines going along this road, do we know?
I believe it does include water and sewer, yes.
Okay.
Part of
While we're tearing it up, we might as well put it in. Okay. And I will echo what everyone said. I think Whitaker Park is the next big economic driver in this town. We got a great start downtown with the Research Park. 311 and the Union Cross Business Parks are almost all full. There's a few lots left, but not much. But this will be a great addition. And I thank everybody's comments. And if I can get a motion on this. It's done. Okay. Wait till it comes up. Everybody please vote. Okay, we will now go to G2. Ms. Saunders, why don't you come up?
Item G2, introduction of bond orders related to proposed general obligation bond referendum.
Why don't you tell us, because this gets a little complicated, what we're doing.
Good afternoon, Chairman Clark, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the council. This actually is the second action of the legal process for the 2018 GO bond referendum. G2 is actually the introduction of each bond order. There's no action required on that, but at the Monday night, June 18th meeting, it's required that each one of those bond orders get read into the public record. G3 is actually a resolution that will approve each individual bond order. It also will call a public hearing for August the 6th, and it will direct another notice in the paper, which will run the week of June 29th, for the public hearing August the 6th. And then the third thing that these actions do, there's a statement of debt that's required to be filed in the city secretary's office. It's basically my signature that authorizes that all of our GO bond debt outstanding and the amount of our bonded debt to our assessed value, which is 0.69%. And if you remember, we are legally required to stay under 8, and we're obviously way below that. And I put up, and it didn't come up. Let's see. I actually put up a list of deposits.
But this is simply a motion to read these into the record at the main meeting.
And also to set the public hearing.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
And G3 we'll do in just a second. So let me finish G2.
Sure.
Any questions here? If not, if I can get a...
Move for approval. Do we have to read every one individually?
No, I'll have to do a Monday.
Okay, very good. All right. No.
Okay. Hang on.
You really don't
I'll
need
get
one.
both. Let's see what comes up.
Time Warner Spectrum.
Okay. All right. If everybody vote when they come up, please. Okay, those are approved for the reading in. We'll now go to G3, please. Ms. Saunders, don't go away. If you could just tell us again what this is,
Sure.
because this is slightly different.
Yes, this is actually the resolution that will authorize each individual bond order and it will set the public hearing, as well as directing the ads to be placed in the paper. And if you'd like, I can, read them again, and also.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
And we will be doing this at the August 6th meeting.
The August 6th meeting, that's correct.
Okay.
And we're a little early since we're not having July meetings, so that's why there's,
That's fine.
right.
Okay. Everybody, please vote. We will now go to, before we get to the proposed budget, Ms. Tony, if you could hold 1 second. Ms. Burke, I understand you had some comments you wanted to make about the,
About the process the county has for collecting liens.
liens, that's right, on property. So, Ms. Burke, I'll give you the
Yes.
floor.
Yes, throughout the years, we've had a problem with collecting liens, and we do have sometimes individuals who would like to purchase some of the property, but the liens have gotten so high. And then when I looked at we have a company, my question also, we could not find anyone in Winston-Salem to do that other than going east.
The county has contracted with a foreclosure attorney out of Trenton, North Carolina, which I had to find on the map. But Mayor Pro Tem Burke, we will talk to the county. We obviously pay for a percentage of their tax collection process, so we will talk to them about that as well as about their process. I know we have challenges where sometimes people buy property and the liens are not disclosed until after the transaction, and then the people have to pay it. So I'm going to be meeting with the county to talk about those issues.
But when a lawyer sits down with you and you purchase a piece of property, that lien should not go to Mr. McIntosh after he buys it.
Right.
Even before, we should have done more research to try to get that lien paid before it got to that stage.
Right.
I do appreciate the effort in doing that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We will now go to G4. Ms. Tony, you can take the podium, and I'm going to turn it over to you however you want to proceed.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Burke, members of the council, Chairman Clark. You have been presented the fiscal year 2018 through 19 proposed budget. The first link to G4 shows the agenda for really today's meeting. And so the first thing essentially is a review of the response package that I emailed out to you all. So if you have any questions about that, I'll be glad to answer those or follow up later. Okay.
Continue, please.
All right. The item number 3 is consideration of the recommended budget and property tax rate. We are proposing a no tax increase on this budget, so the rate will remain the same at 59.74 cents.
I just was going to make a comment. I think most of the people were there, but not everyone was there at the public hearing. It was the 100% of the participants were the nonprofit agencies. And I will say they all struck me as very hardworking, dedicated individuals working to make the community better, and they all, I think, have good programs. So it was well received. It's fairly lengthy, but people moved through it. But there were no other comments that I remember that were non in that area. Anyway. Okay.
Okay. Item number 4 and 5 are considerations from Finance Committee that will be presented on June 18th. So the second page of your agenda shows all the budget-related items that the Finance Committee will present to the full council on next Monday. Included in those items are the normal budget ordinances. There's several. You'll see that under the adoption of budget.
Is there any way we can get this on the screen? And that seems to be a challenge today.
Normally you have this stuff printed out.
I would.
Good luck to you.
Okay, there Hardwick's retiring. What are we going to do when we get to this point? He's not here.
He'll come back on Monday.
Come back on.
All right, we're bringing back the second Monday every month.
Looks like there's 6 resolutions that are going to be made, if I'm counting that correctly. Blow that up a little bit. Okay, Ms. Tony, if you could just walk through those quickly.
Okay. Yes. The first one is the annual appropriation and tax levy ordinance for the city for fiscal year 2018 through 19. The second is a project budget ordinance. The third is also a project budget ordinance that relates to federal housing funds and housing finance assistance fund. The fourth one is an annual appropriation ordinance. This one is related to the advertising fund, as well as a project budget ordinance for the advertising fund. And then, and so those are all of the ordinances. The other items that will be voted on will be the capital plan from year 2023 through 2024, as well as the personnel resolution. There's a resolution also authorizing an interlocal agreement between the city and the county for grant funds to support the DA's domestic violence unit. And then there's a technical correction to an ordinance that's related to the commercial dumpster collection service that will be ending at the end of this year.
Okay, thank you.
And that is it.
Any general budget questions, comments from anyone? I'll start with Mr. Larson if you want.
Very dense document, but if I could ask about the capital plan 2019 to 24, and in the categories of Parks and Rec, I did not see Granville Park listed, and I know we're working on that. I know that I spent a lot of money and time on that. What does it take to get that on our project list for 24? So.
Councilmember Larson, we are in the process of doing a major maintenance study of Granville Park. So based on those findings, I would fully expect it to be on the next year's capital improvement plan.
On the list. Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Larson?
That's it.
I'm going to go ahead. Okay, Mr.
Just a brief note for folks who've made the inquiry, that the personnel resolution, as anticipated, does contain a reference to the goal of a $15 an hour minimum city wage by 2021. Of course, we can't bind future councils, but we can express it as a goal in the personnel resolution, and that's, I believe, the way in which it's proposed to be addressed.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, you got any comment?
No, I'm just happy with the budget. Good
Mr.
job.
McIntosh?
Yeah, I'm sure staff is going to be ready for July 1 to roll around and have this done. I think they've done a really good job, and I know we're not able to bind future councils, but we have set expectations, and that is, to me, is a relatively binding move. So I think we've done a great job with under very difficult circumstances. So thank you.
Ms. Adams?
Yeah, to that note, Councilmember Bessie, as you were saying, and Councilmember McIntosh, and I've always said you can't bind future councils to anything, but I do believe that the investment that this city has made in hiring consultants and studies to get it right this time, with a plan that takes us forward for whoever is here over the next 5 or 10 years, that they'll have a roadmap that they can look at and be prepared to benchmark again other cities as to how we're doing and use that as our gauge. So again, I have no issue with the resolution for what you want, but again, I think we're moving in the right direction. I do have a question about item 9 of G4, the technical corrections ordinances that's in this G4. I see we're adding a holiday, possibly, Veterans Day, and you guys probably already, and ladies already asked, so probably missed it. Is there any added cost, Mr. Garrity, or Ms. Tony, or Ms. Saunders, or Mr. Rao, whoever? Is there any added cost? And it's not that I'm against it. My daddy was a World War II veteran. I'm all about it. But we always know that when we make these decisions, we need to be transparent to the taxpayers that there's an added cost to this.
I'll have to get some information, Councilmember Adams. I believe the added cost will be some overtime for the departments, police, fire, and utilities that we obviously can't shut down when there's a holiday, but we can get you that information.
All right, thank you.
Tied to that, can we just get a list of all the, with that, what all the total number of holidays that we do give? Okay, Ms. Burke?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thanks for carrying out a very positive meeting the other day. And also the concerns that the taxpayers have, not increasing their taxes. I know they feel good because with the economy like it is, even though they say that we are doing well in this country, but we're not doing as well as we could when it comes to the kind of jobs that people have, the kind of salaries that they make. And so a lot of folks are working on fast food jobs, no benefits and everything. So what we can do to make it easier for them is positive. Also, I'm very pleased when our citizens, not only our citizens, but our employees will question certain things. And they had a deep concern about that resolution. And some of us pushed real hard for the city manager to be very understanding. They work hard, and we need to have an understanding. They need to feel comfortable that they can speak about their salaries and an increase in the wages. So that's a good point, and I want us, even though we're not binding to a council, but we ought to want to be as committed as we can for this to happen. Thank you.
Just to read the language that we've been working on for the resolution, it'll say the implementation of a $12.50 hour minimum rate of pay, which would be effective next April, with the goal for future adjustments that, subject to funding availability, raise the minimum hourly rate of pay to $15 an hour by 2021.
Mr. Larson?
May I just add a couple things? One is, when I came onto the board, this board was, council was struggling with our first responders and made a major commitment even before I came onto the board mid-year to bring salaries up, and have laid out a plan, a work plan, that I think is just about put us up to par with any other city in the state as far as our fire and police go. And it's been a very aggressive plan to recognize the services that are provided by those. And we're now working on other employees, obviously. But I would compliment my colleagues, actually, on laying that work program out. I had nothing to do with it. But I think it has accomplished what we set out to do, what you set out to do a couple of years ago, and I recommend that. Second thing I would add is, as the only veteran on the council, I would say that the cost of this project, of making this a holiday, compared to the cost of daycare and other things required of city employees to take care of the kids when the school's out, when the banks are closed, when the federal government's closed, when the county services have closed down, everything, and those people have their kids at home during the school year, it's probably something we can think about, irregardless of the respect for our service people that are alive. Memorial Day, of course, is designed for those who have passed, but we have veterans in and among us, and our city employees who have served this country well and served the city well now, and it seems appropriate that we would join our sister cities as well as the federal government in recognizing our veterans. I had to say that as a veteran on this council. Thank you.
Ms. Tony, we've reviewed. Do we need to actually move all this stuff? Do I need a motion to that? Okay, we need a motion to recommend Chief Ford.
Second.
Okay, if everybody please get your thing on it. Okay, thank you very much. That is all we have on the agenda. Is anything else anyone would like to bring forward?
I wanted to
Yes,
bring
ma'am.
something up. I'm sorry Mr. Page left. I was looking at Mr. Page and Mr. Turner. I knew when they were young boys, young men, came here to take on these jobs. And they have been very, very fortunate to be able to retire and still look as if though you're going someplace. Also, I want you to know that at your ages, you can start all over again. But because God has given you this time to retire, I would just hope that whatever you do, what you want to do, that you'll do it. My husband retired at 59, and he lived 20 and a half years of happiness. And that's a good something.
Thank you, Ms. Burke.
And you all still know how to come and go where you want to go. And I thank you. I just want you to know, I see them when the first got started.
The Public Safety Committee will meet at 6 o'clock, I believe. And I thank everybody for attending today, and we will stand adjourned.